Arguably, it won't be a vaccine passport you'll be showing in the first half of next year. It'll be your booster passport to show that you've been to have your third jab and that you've still got the protection that comes from either AstraZeneca, Moderna or Pfizer. In the first half of next year, it'll be your booster passport to show that you've been to have your third jab.
Boom shakalaka, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters around the world. It is your boy Chris Shaw, aka the Esoteric Noetic, aka the Chocolate Nubian Soul Brother from Ghana, West Africa, dropping the wisdomatic truth bombs here in Melbourne, Australia, home of the New World Order, mate. You know you can rely on me because I'm true blue. I stand with Dan, Fauci, ScoMo, George Soros, Joe Cross, Biden. I'm on team meh. I'm a trans-vaxxite. That means identify that I've taken the jab, even though I haven't, because I'm woke as fuck. Be sure to like the video, subscribe, click on the bell, tell your friends, tell your mom, drop some comments, let us know what it is, drop us some cryptocurrencies, buy us a coffee. I want to salute everyone that has been doing so, everyone that has been dropping the shares on the group, sharing the amazing content, everyone that has been telling their mom about this. I salute you. Let's get it. Now, I hate to say I told you so. Actually, no, I don't. I like saying I told you so. That's one of the best things about being a conspiracy theorist in the 21st century. You're always right. And you get to say, I told you so. Told you about the V passports. Told you it just wasn't a mask. Yeah, mate. I was right and you were wrong. But lo and behold, it turns out that Daniel Andrews is now saying that you may need to get booster shots. In fact, you will have to. I feel like people need to start looking at conspiracy theorists not within this negative light, but looking at them as people of magical soothsayer powers, because we're essentially spoiler alert people. We know what's going to happen, right? I feel like in the future, people are going to look at conspiracy theorists the same way that people would look at doctors, before 2020, People, they're going to look at them in reverence. It's like, are you a doctor? No, mate, I'm a conspiracy theorist. Oh my God, you're a conspiracy theorist? You just know everything. Yeah, mate, I kind of do. I know everything that's going to happen. All right. First order of business, let's talk about the recent protests. Now, I've been getting a lot of questions in regards to the protests. Now, here in Australia, mate, we had the worldwide Rally for Freedom. Obviously, this was a global event. We had our version here in Melbourne, Australia. Even though the transport system was shut down, even though the police did everything in their power to barricade the city, shut down the transport, and threatened to fine people. Apparently, we had like $3,000 fines if you were caught being in the city without a reason. Now, a lot of people asked me whether or not I got a fine if I was worried about getting a fine. Why would I get a fine? I mean, first of all, I would never be seen at a rally like that. I'm on team meh. But if you did see me, I would have been working because I'm a delivery driver, and also I have an exemption. I'm asthmatic. But in all seriousness, ladies and gentlemen, people need to stop being so concerned about these fines. They are not worth the paper that they are written on. Now, I realize that you will hear on the TV that you're going to get fined $3,000 or whatever it might be. Could be $10,000. Could be $1 million. But people need to start looking at the police force not as a part of the government. They're basically like just an organization that has decided to send you a letter and saying that we're going to fine you. Now, a lot of people actually do pay this fine because they don't know their rights. You don't know your rights. You don't have them. But if you decide to challenge these fines in court, now chances are they won't even get to that point. From what I understand, I don't know. I actually don't. I'm not saying this definitively, but to my knowledge, I don't know of any people that have been fined and have actually been able to have the police take them to court and get them to pay this fine. People just typically pay the fine. But if you challenge the fine, you will find that these fines magically disappear. That they'll threaten you. They might follow up and tell you letters, look, your court date is coming up, or you must pay this fine, otherwise you might have to pay legal fees and so forth. But if you actually challenge this thing, you find that it typically magically disappears. People need to start understanding that the police are simply nothing other than an organization that has no legitimacy as far as having any authority to violate your rights. And a lot of these laws, imaginary laws built of air and imagination, that they are trying to enforce are not actual laws. There's been no legislation that's been passed through Parliament, and if these things get taken to court, you'll find that they won't be applied, but they're just relying on everyone going ahead with this. If 1% of people decided to even challenge these fines, say that, look, I want to have this dealt within court, you will find that the current system, the judiciary system, would not be able to deal with the tremendous amount of court cases. I mean, I know in Canada this applies. There's a story I heard of someone that challenged one of his fines or something like that and then got a court date for 10, 20 years later. And essentially they're dealing with the same kind of system that we're dealing here in Australia. Fundamentally, they have a big population and there's no way they can address all of these fines. So if you do have the stones to actually challenge these things, you'll find that they'll just magically disappear. Of course, by all means, understand your rights. Prepare yourself. You may need to go to court. It's a good idea to actually do some research, understand the legal system. There's a great group that I often reference, Know Your Rights. They have a lot of pertinent information on how to deal with the fines, as far as sending letters to essentially just question the legitimacy of the fines. Ask them to show the law. I mean, there are things that you can do to even avoid having to go to court. But fundamentally, it's incumbent upon each and every single one of you to know your rights. Those that don't know their rights don't have them. So don't worry about the fines. Secondly, I actually got someone accusing me of being a fake ass because I was wearing a mask. Apparently, I sounded like I was wearing a mask, right, in the last video, and someone called me fake ass or something along those lines. Now, ladies and gentlemen, yours truly was wearing a motorbike helmet because I do delivery work, and the current helmet I have was not sufficient, and I want to protect my noggin. This noggin here has a lot of information in regards to what's going on in the world. I got to protect this shit. So because of this mask, I probably sounded like very muffled, you know. But rest assured, I have not succumbed to the mask. Of course, I have a legitimate reason for not wearing one. I'm an asthmatic. But ladies and gentlemen, masks are for pussies. Actually, that's not true. Look, if people want to wear a mask, that's fine. But personally, I got to take care of my health. Now, let's get to the gist of this video. All right. Now, there are a lot of problems that I'm seeing within the truth movement, and I want to address these issues in the butt. First of all, there are a lot of cynics out there. There are people that tell you, why are you wasting your time protesting? I'm not talking about the crazy momos that don't believe in your rights, don't care about actual justice, and say that you don't have a right to be protesting because you're taking away their freedoms by actually having freedom. No, I'm talking about the people, the cynics that don't even believe that this stuff is going to do anything. People that tell you, oh, protesting won't achieve anything, it's pointless. Here's the thing. Unequivocally, unassailably, definitively, there are countries that have protested and have been able to end many of the restrictions that have been placed on them. This has worked in many countries. UK, classic example. For now, they have shut down the V-passports. There are other countries like Denmark that have peacefully assembled and protested and being able to push back the tyranny. Now, I'm not saying that the war is won. The battle has been won, but the war is still raging on. But those momos that want to say that you can't achieve any of this stuff by protesting, now, if you're saying that it's impossible, that's just blatantly wrong. Anytime you're talking about what is possible, anything is possible, ladies and gentlemen. And need I remind people that Martin Luther King, one of the most effective activists, managed to achieve so much without burning a house, without causing any violence whatsoever, but still ended up being an incredibly effective activist. And let that be a reminder to people. You don't always need to use the sword in order to get things done. Now, yours truly, I actually do believe in self-defense. I am both a Malcolm X and I'm a Martin Luther King, my people. But by all means, I think it is a wiser thing to win people over with your heart, to win people over through persuasion, through the pen. The pen is mightier than the sword. And those that are saying that this stuff cannot be achieved, that we cannot put an end to the tyranny through peaceful protests, well, now granted, it may not work, but it absolutely is possible that it can, and it has worked. So stop being cynics, ladies and gentlemen. Also, I want to talk about another issue which I've been seeing a lot. Now, one of the most frustrating things in any movement is the divide and conquer. The divide and conquer that we see being implemented often by these Machiavellian entities that have essentially orchestrated plans to create dissent within these groups. But a lot of the times it just happens within these groups because there are a lot of momos out there. There are people within the truth movement that often speak about how white people are the problem, black people are the problem, women are the problem. I want to make it very clear that if you were coming from that perspective, now granted there may be legitimacy to your arguments in regards to us seeing certain trends within certain subsections of any group, no doubt. But any person that wants to look at this problem as a matter of like race or sex or any kind of a ism dealing with your physical characteristics or your physical makeup is not seeing what is really going on. Ladies and gentlemen, freaks and geeks, brothers and sisters around the world, we are individuals. And this attitude that people have of wanting to assume that people of a particular makeup act in a particular way, therefore they're part of the problem, is very dangerous, is corrosive towards the fabric of society, and essentially only facilitates these Orwellian douchebags in this agenda, this divide and conquer agenda. I don't care about the color of your skin. I don't care about your sex. I don't care about any of your physical characteristics. Now, granted, we as I say, we often see themes within certain groups. The people that often make this about black lives or make this about white lives, talk about white people being the problem, they're people that are seeing this thing from a very myopic perspective. They have a very poor understanding of history, a poor understanding of human nature, realizing that human nature is not to be constrained by nature, meaning that fundamentally we're all different. The only proclivity we have is the proclivity that we form within a particular environment. And as soon as you start assuming that someone is something based off of their race, based off their sex, and start assigning them certain characteristics, that only leads to this poor way of seeing the world, because it's based off of assumption. It's a very dangerous way of seeing things, because you are seeing things through the realm of your bias, through the realm of generalizations. And it's something which I see so many people falling victim to, this divide and conquer nonsense, where they make this about race, they make this about sex, and they're constantly talking about white supremacy or black supremacy. The Chocolate Nubian Soul Brother does not subscribe to any of that nonsense. And ladies and gentlemen, if you support what this entire movement is about, you realize that it is not about race. The other thing I want to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, now I'm going to be blunt here. Now, I know a lot of people subscribe to Flat Earth, and they have many theories. They talk about how, look, there's a lot of evidence, and they talk about how there's a massive cover-up. Now, it's something I typically don't want to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, not because I'm ignorant. I want to be very clear about this, that when it comes to my understanding of what we call conspiracies, when it comes to the understanding of politics, psychology, the ufology agenda, the occult, the esoteric mystery school traditions, there are very few people that are doing this stuff that, with all the humility that I can muster, that have amassed the level of knowledge that I have. And I know that sounds arrogant, but I don't care. it's true. If you want to tell me that I do not understand this stuff, I want to make it very clear to you that I've been delving into this stuff for over 3 decades. All of the nonsense that I continually hear being perpetuated by people that claim to understand this stuff only makes me realize just how little they do understand in regards to what is going on. And I'm saying this because I want you to understand that I'm not a stranger to these schools of thoughts. When we are speaking about flat Earth, now I'm not even going to bother bringing about the evidence to actually debunk this nonsense. But I want to make it very clear that if you're one of these people that subscribes to intuition, I respect you. Spirituality and using your critical thinking skills, I respect you. But I also want you to use something called your understanding of technology, your TQ, technological quantity, your ability to actually use technology to understand what is going on. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that a lot of you flat earthers want to talk about how the satellites are fake, all the video footage is not fake. Please, get yourself a telescope. Get yourself an understanding of technology. Because this kind of thinking shows to me that you do not understand technology. Not only do you not understand the history of the planet, but basically you have decided to forego your use of technology. And whereas I subscribe to many different things, ladies and gentlemen, none of my views are built of air and imagination. They are based in an understanding of both reason and intuitive psionic intelligence. It's this alchemical wedding. And the problem I find within the flat earth community is often they lack critical thinking. They lack an understanding of technology. And I say this because I'm not trying to be divisive here, but it is one of these things that makes people question your ability to understand what is going on. One of the things that people often say as soon as you say that you are denying the current narrative is, oh, you must be a flat earther, because the idea of it is so ridiculous. And it basically makes you seem like someone that can't be trusted with seeing things for what they are. People that can look at things and see what they are, not because of what you want them to be, but because they are. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Ladies and gentlemen, freaks and geeks, main thing I want to have people bear in mind is that, one, when it comes to these fines, challenge them. Two, when it comes to your social justice worldview, that's all good and well, but don't be getting caught up on race. Don't be getting caught up on sex. Don't be getting caught up in all of this division that essentially only aids to divide and conquer. And please, flat earthers, learn how to use technology and educate yourself on how this world works. All right, ladies and gentlemen, freaks and geeks, brothers and sisters around the world, it is your chocolate Nubian soul brother, the esoteric noetic, signing out. Peace out. Keep it real. Ow!
What is liberty?
What the? Who says you can't build muscle on a vegan diet?
What's it like being a hottie in the vegan community?
There are no political solutions, only technological ones.
The economics of the system don't allow multiple competing systems to survive.
Engineering, technology, these arts of humanity, they are magic.